Now, if Shannon Sharpe was a 20-something-year-old who had just gotten into the league, just got some real serious paper, and was all of a sudden being worshipped by the people around him, nobody could tell him no, I would understand how he would get himself into these types of situations. However, Shannon Sharpe is not a 20-something-year-old. As a matter of fact, he is essentially twice the age of most of the young men who this sort of thing happens to, right? When you hear of these situations happening, it's Anthony Edwards, it's a Zion Williamson, it's a 21, 22, 23-year-old. But instead, here we have a 50-plus-year-old man who is getting caught up in these sorts of situations. And so you have to get to a place where you ask yourself, when does a person learn? When does a man grow up and mature to the point where they realize that they have everything to lose? You know, I'm not going to sit here and judge the man's lifestyle, though I do not believe that is the most conducive to a prosperous and fulfilling life. You know, if he wants to lay up with whatever, that's his business. But the consequences of doing what he is doing and moving the way that he's moving, which is reckless, is this. And, you know, as I'm thinking about all this, all of a sudden a clip pops up in my head of when Deion Sanders, who is another ex-NFL player, Hall of Famer, sits down with Brittany Renner, who is like one of the OG Instagram models, right? One of these chicks who literally used to pursue athletes and rappers and these sorts of guys in order to get the bag. She sits down with Deion to warn young men of what these type of women are actually out doing, what the game is about, and essentially that they're after the bag. Simple as that. There's some people who really love you, far and few between, and most of them who come to you are going to be looking for something. But the deepest irony about this conversation that was had a few years back with Deion and Brittany is that Shannon Sharpe actually sat down with Deion Sanders to discuss this. So not only has Shannon had the luxury of seeing a multitude of other individuals in his very same position lose everything because of these sorts of decisions, but he's also sat down with people like Deion and then Monique, who actually gave him a direct warning. And we will get into that video in a little bit, but he is not somebody who is without some sort of I guess he doesn't have an excuse. He doesn't have an excuse. And there's a lot of people who are trying to sympathize with him. I stand with Shannon Sharpe. I stand with Unc. And I understand. We don't know the whole entire story. We know there's his side, her side, somewhere in between, which is the truth. And I allow the courts to do their job as far as allowing the evidence to speak for itself. Simple as that. But when it comes to a grown-ass man making childish decisions on the basis of his own lust and his inability to discipline himself sexually, that right there is a choice. And so I want to get into the first clip of him sitting down with Deion Sanders, who I guess didn't do enough of a job for this man to realize that he was playing stupid games and therefore he would continue to win the stupidest of prizes.
You brought Brittany Renner in to talk to your players. Mm-hmm. What were you trying to accomplish by bringing her in, this social media influencer?
Brittany is a real woman.
Okay.
She keeps it 100. She keeps it straightforward. And she is a tremendous influencer on Instagram. Bringing her in to talk about game,
right,
from a woman's point of view,
right,
was unbelievable. I got more checks in my DMs than Nike.
I said, wow.
And y'all see, I'll play a little clip from the actual original sit down with Brittany Renner. She said she has more checks in her DM, and she was talking about verification checks when that used to mean something on social media, which means there's a whole bunch of these goofy athletes, entertainers, etc., who are all chasing after the very same chicks because some of the dude basically showed up with her at the game or whatever it may have been. This is how goofy they are. Mind you, this is a woman who literally told these guys directly that athletes are some of the dumbest people because they will sleep around without rubbers on and, they end up hooked to somebody that they don't even know for the next 18 plus years.
They had her.
Yes.
Okay, and she's trying to tell them how this is played out. She say, It's women out there that do their homework. They know everything about y'all because you tell on yourself on the gram and on social. So they know how to go get you. And I'm hoping, and I know, a few guys learn tremendously from her speech.
Well, Dion, primetime, it seems that the one person who did not learn without a shadow of a doubt is the man that you are sitting across from right now. A man who is probably the same age as you are. He simply did not learn. Now, of course, Dion's got his own stuff. For anybody who knows about, this brother right here, his, multiple divorces and things of that nature. But at least he tried the marriage thing. And he's got children who are coming from, I guess, the same woman or same two women or whatever it is. And he tried. He tried. Even though he probably dogged some of them out or whatever it was, he tried. Shannon, it was zero attempt. Speaking of there being zero attempt, let's get into the second clip with Monique telling this man directly to his face exactly what he needs to do, bar for bar.
Dating. What advice? If somebody, if a group of women were in here and they're like, come on, they talk to us. How this dating thing? Because this is Mo is different now than when you and I.
It's different, baby. I'm grateful I'm not 56 and trying.
But you try to.
Monique. If Monique is gonna be anything, she's gonna be straight up. That's what Monique. You love her or hate her, damn it, she's gonna be that. She said 56. She said Shannon's exact age, 56 and trying.
Say what you trying to say?
I'm looking right at you.
I know
I'm
you looking at your
I ain't backing down. You better take your old ass and get somebody to love you.
Damn, Mo.
Now I'm looking right at y'all. Let me tell y'all what Shannon needs.
Let me live my
Let
life.
me tell you what my baby needs. He need him an old fat gal who can bake good cakes, make some smothered turkey wings, who gonna rub his feet at the nighttime, okay, and gonna have a sip of his cognac to make him feel better about himself when he come home at night. That's what Shannon needs. You don't need no 26-year-old girl.
Not Monique trying to set Shannon up with herself. Not Monique trying to set him up with herself. Oh, Lord.
You don't need no 36-year-old girl.
I know.
This is your auntie talking to you. Take your old ass and get you an old out there that can love you old. You're trying to hang out with these young and you can't do it, Shannon. You just can't do it.
Folks, this is not after all of this scandal has unfolded. This is, I think, maybe a year ago or close to a year ago where Monique sat down with Shannon. She told him directly to his face. It's almost like the entirety of the universe and collective was trying to communicate to Shannon. Shannon, wake up. Shannon, grow up. Shannon, this ain't gonna end good. Shit, my boy, Shannon. Now, Shannon, we raise you good now. We raise you down here in the South. We raise you good. We raise you to understand that this is a foolish man's path. I used to have this belief when I was younger that age meant something. I used to believe age meant something as far as wisdom or understanding goes, right? That the older you get, the more you cultivate some level of wisdom, a foundation of understanding that you can then carry forward throughout your life. I am now at the place where I'm accepting wholeheartedly that it has nothing to do with age and everything to do with choice. Are you willing to make better decisions? Are you willing to allow those lessons that life is trying to bring into you, or God is trying to deliver through a multitude of different channels and avenues? Are you willing to let your pride down in order to listen to what the hell is being said? Because if you're not, then you're going to be in for one. You're going to be up for a rude awakening. I'm telling y'all that right now. They are not going to hold back on you. Nobody gives a damn whether or not you are wise enough to understand what is coming for you. This 19-year-old was able to finesse him. Imagine the 20-something, 30-something, 40-something. They're probably going to start coming out the woodworks because, again, what happens in the dark will come to light. So if that's who he is and that's how he's moving, then it's going to show itself. And yes, there are going to be people who take advantage of it. But guess what? If you move with character and integrity, You won't have to worry about scandal after scandal. You might worry about somebody lying on you, but guess what? You have evidence on your side. You've got the proof on your side. You've got God on your side. You understand me? You can move through life knowing that if somebody were to come out and say he did this, this, and this, it's a lie. Okay, let's take it to court. You're going to walk away with nothing but more bills because you're going to have to pay for my lawyers. But if you're moving around here dirty, you move around here shady, shisty, and for him, you could say, well, he's a grown man. He could make the decision he wants. He could do what he wants. You're right. He can do what he wants. But guess what? Everything has consequences. So he's running up on 19-year-old girls at the gym, flying them out, flew them out from here to here, there to there, every damn where. They said they had, and this is, I think, his own lawyers, 100 consensual sessions, right? So you done laid up with this woman at least 100 times. Not thinking once to yourself, is this wise? Why am I doing this? What's the purpose? What's the meaning of this? For some of y'all are such gooners. Y'all are giving away to your depravity to a point where you can't even see the faulty in that. You can't even see the problem in that. You think, well, that's something to admire. That's something that I would hope to get one day. Some of y'all are aspiring towards this, and the younger version of me was. I'll be honest with y'all. I was on a mission to knock some down, and sometimes I would. Damn it, sometimes, a few times, more than a few, I would. I was gained up, had the gift of gab, had a little look to me, whatever it is. I was involved in things I wasn't supposed to be involved in, but I knew that little bad boy aesthetic, that little ghetto mentality that I was running through life with, selling dope, all types of stuff. I was moving reckless. And back then, I thought it was something to be admired. I thought it was because it was getting me my intended result, only to realize that the result I was going for was foolishness. It was the path to death. It was the road to death. Man, I wish that everybody would have the opportunity, my ass. Everybody would take the time out to read Proverbs. Just read through it once, twice, 3 times. You know, out of any other book, and I mean little physical book, not just the Bible, but any other book, that book right there, I've likely read more than any other. That and I believe it's a book, The Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy. Those 2 books right there, I've gone in depth. But Proverbs will tell you time and time again that this woman, this sort of individual, this spirit, this Jezebelian spirit always ends up in the grave, whether it is the death of you physically or the death of your career, the death of everything you work for. Brother, you work for this for 45 years at the very least. At the very least, you probably started playing football at 15 or before 15, right? You have been working for what you have built here for 40 plus years. Just to give it all away for what? For some coot nanny? For the draws? You're willing to have $100 million deal was on the table. And this might be part of why they brought the lawsuit up right now, et cetera. They're exploitative. They're taking advantage of this. You were about to be paid $100 million after Uncle Sam comes in, knocks off his 50%. Hopefully you got some good tax attorneys, so you're not paying that full 50. But let's say you pay 50. There's your 50 million. 50 million gone. For what? For some draws from a barely legal? Brother, that's not worth it. And so that being said, I do want to bring up just a clip. I couldn't find exactly what I was looking for, but I can find enough of this clip to show y'all of Brittany Renner sitting down with Deion Sanders. So let me go ahead and cue this up for y'all. Brittany Renner sitting down with Deion Sanders. And I want y'all to see just a few things. This is at Jacksonville State, I believe it was, where he was coaching prior. Historically black college or university. So, okay, the reaction and response was everything I needed to hear. This everything I needed to hear. There's a reason why these dudes are responding the way that they are. Some damn cackling hens. Sound like seagulls. That was the most appropriate outfit she had in her closet at that time. But of course, now she is Muslim. Yeah. It's the pipeline. You know what I mean? From 304 to hyper religious.
you introduce yourself, and let's go from step A to Z, because we got to kind of show these guys the other side of game. And that's why you gracefully blessed us with your presence, so they could understand from your point of view how this game is played.
So my name is Brittany Renner, aka Bundle of Brittany on Instagram. I have been on social media for
This
almost...
joke ain't took notes all year, but now you want to take it.
Professional gamer.
And that's how the game starts, with the phone.
Right.
They're going on Instagram and they see you. And what happens? They try to get off in them DMs. And kind of take us on the journey of how this...
Now, I don't know why they're playing this motivational music in the background like this, something real deep, but I guess that's what they chose. And I was looking for a video which didn't have that silly ass music in the background and also had the full entire interview, but what I wanted y'all to see was the response and the reaction, and then just this comment that she makes, and then we're gonna wrap.
Just played out.
I mean, honey, like, I feel like my DMs, it's like a Nike store. There's nothing but checks. So it just, for me, I feel like...
Her DMs are like a Nike store. There's nothing but check. And she ain't talking about checks as far as finances, though. That is a double entendre. She's talking about those blue check marks. She's talking about the athletes, the Shannon Sharpes of the world. The Shannon Sharpes are all up in her DMs. And this is a chick who I remember seeing with Shaq, I believe. Shaq is another dirty dog. I'm predicting this right now. I'm calling it out. As all this news is coming out saying allegedly Shaq is one of the reasons why Shannon Sharpe is now caught up, because Shaq has beef. Shaq is a very petty individual. There's a lot of dark stuff about Shaq that is out there. And, you know, he pays a lot of money to hide who the hell he actually is. Shaq is going to be next on that line, and his is going to be significantly worsening than Shannon. Yes, significantly worse than even Shannon Sharpe, the 50-something-year-old man hooking up with a 19-year-old OnlyFans from the damn gym. Folks, we got to move smarter, make better decisions, and when it's all said and done, I always stand for a healthy, stable, monogamous relationship. That maybe it's not for everybody, but for those who are in that mindset, do whatever is necessary to get yourself in that, not just the mentality, but also the habits necessary. You can't be running around like a Shannon Sharpe and hoping that you eventually create a family. You know, you can't become a real wife, but running around like a Brittany Renner. Oh, but she's married, but Kevin Gates chose her. Yeah, let's see how that publicity stunt goes. Let's see how that goes. You got to develop those characteristics. You got to change your mind, renew your mindset. You got to renew the way in which you move through life, the things that you value. You got to become somebody of integrity, have some dignity about yourself, self-respect. And all these things are lacking with these sorts of individuals. Money doesn't take away the goofiness. Status, influence, power does not take away the goofiness. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. Now, if you'd like to stay around, make sure to click that little subscribe button down there, or you can show some love by going to the description below and clicking on the button titled Buy Me a Coffee. Leave a little something there, or click on the Cash App. Leave a little something here. Till the next time, peace.
I fell in love with the sunshine. I fell in love with the light. I fell in love with the full moon. I fell in love with the night. I can see the light again. I can see the light. You can see the life in him illuminate the night. I know the time is taking. A 3-6-5, that's a full rotation. I see you looking up, you know them constellations. Constantly gazing like house of praises, you get to praising.